So, guys, the script today, the assignment today was that if you're a football fan, an African football fan, you are supposed to sit there and hate watch South Africa. That was supposed to be the move. That was supposed to be what all us African content creators were supposed to, I think, go on, basically bully South Africa, mock South Africa for being, basically enjoy their demise. And I just didn't feel it. 9 minutes in, before the game, I was like, come on, Bafana, like 2 minutes before, but still thinking that, you know what, I'm going to enjoy them losing. And for me, I genuinely tried to join in, but it lasted a few minutes and I realized that I can't do this. It was feeling really forced, and it just wasn't for me. So let me explain. So Mexico versus South Africa, a replay of the 2010 World Cup opener in South Africa. It was a magnificent game then. So the opening match of the whole tournament at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico, the whole world is watching. And then there's this whole wave of African fans who show up, not to support South Africa, but to root against them. And honestly, the solidarity, the African solidarity we usually have at tournaments went straight outside the window. And this started, I think, the second Bafana qualified, and it has been amplified right now. Suddenly, all of you guys, most of you guys are Mexican fans. And you know what? I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a bit of a laugh. But somewhere it got lost, and you were all taking it a little bit too seriously. Today, you took it way too seriously. But yeah, no, not for me. But anyway, so here is exactly what happened. In the 9th minute, Sithole somehow loses the ball at the edge of his own area. And then, of course, Quiñones basically pounces, slots it between Williams' legs. It's his first goal for the tournament. This is a guy who was born in Colombia from, I think, a Ghanaian parent. One of them, the parents is Ghanaian, and the other one he's got a little bit of Nigerian ancestry as well. And he is scoring for Mexico. Isn't that what makes competition beautiful? All of us who travel, who have children outside our own mother countries, you can go in. Anyway, this guy is Mexican and he's one of the top scorers in the Saudi Arabia League as well, Quiñones. And today he was absolutely magnificent. A great goal. So I'm sitting here and I was waiting to feel the joy, the elation that South Africa were losing. But then again, it just didn't land for me. So at the end of the day, we move. So anyway, let's talk about the 2-0 win for Mexico, and why on paper it's closer than it actually was. Because the scoreline actually, 2-0 is not such a bad scoreline. You'd think South Africa were actually doing stuff there. They were not. They were absolutely pitiful. They were absolutely pitiful because Mexico were set up in such a way that they were pressing. They were forcing South Africa to make mistakes. And even when South Africa at the end, they were so tortured in the first 20 minutes that when they made a mistake, they were making enforced errors, basically, loose balls and things like that, heavy passes, so I don't know what they were playing at. But all of it was due to Mexico's setup and the way they went in with their midfield combination of Gutierrez and Lita. Is that his name? 1 second. Lira and Brian Gutierrez basically had that midfield on lockdown, and their fullbacks, their wingbacks were causing the South Africans to stretch, to narrow. Before they knew it, they were literally outside the pace. Exactly, and this is what I think caused the first goal to go in. Within 9 minutes, South Africa were forced to basically make a mistake because of the press. Sithole probably thought, I need to release this ball before someone catches it, made a pass that was not exactly the cleverest because Quiñones basically, he basically just like read it. He read the pass. He knew where it was going to go, jumps on it, and then he finishes it between Ronwen Williams' legs, which is quite a shame because he actually got a little touch with the inside of his foot. So Mexico set a trap for South Africa. They set a trap for South Africa, and the South Africans just could not leave that midfield safely, and it worked exactly how I think Mexico planned for it. They had a board there and they said, this is what we're going to do. And unfortunately, some teams, especially in Africa, do not have that technical knowledge to counteract this kind of deliberate thing. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of football studying. It's not about on the pitch. You need to understand football on a board. And the Mexicans really, really pulled South Africa's pants down when it came to the tactical midfield play. So second, let's see, width. Yeah, I think I brought up width. So Mexico, their whole attack was leaning on getting the ball wide. First of all, they'll take the balls wide. They stretched South Africa. Alvaro was whipping the balls in from the court, especially from the right wing, dangerous crosses all the time. And then, of course, Quininius was cutting in. So there were crosses, was cutting in. And it was a bit too much for some of these South African players because they probably haven't seen that kind of attack for a long time. This is not exactly the kind of football you are going to get when you're playing locally in South Africa or the African Nations Cup, let us be honest. So these fullbacks were getting pulled in two different directions all night. One time they're looking at crosses, the next time they're getting cut through. It was a mess for them. And of course, when you think about the engine in the midfield, that pairing, like I said, of Eric Lira and Brian Gutierrez, basically they are the ones who control the tempo and they were dictating everything from that central area, basically, very easily because I'm South African. Now, our own midfield, South Africa's midfield, were not at the game at all. They just could not cope intellectually for me in that midfield to try and get any possession back. And South Africa just could not get a foothold centrally in that midfield. So they had a lot of passion and they tried everything, but it took them absolutely nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And they did have the ball a few times and they were making unforced errors. But of course, also you have to consider Mexico's defense. Their block basically managed to make South Africa absolutely harmless. It was quite pitiful, to be honest. But of course, we have to also mention and keep it respectable. Ronwen Williams, this guy, I think, helped share the Golden Glove in the previous World Cup, if I'm not wrong. I remember seeing him going on that podium. I think without him, they definitely would have considered at least 4, 5, if not 6 goals. Jimenez could have had a hat trick if it wasn't for Williams. So he had several saves. But of course, in the end, a beautiful cross came in and Raúl Jiménez basically got his first goal for Mexico in a World Cup. The guy was crying. He is 35 and getting a bit older. I've got a feeling he is actually going to Wolverhampton in his own league. So basically, this will be his last World Cup, and he has got this goal. It is the most proudest moment for him. So Ronwen Williams, anyway, kept it respectable for such a long time. And of course, the hate watchers would have loved it. They were sharing all sorts, being mean and stuff. And I felt so uncomfortable because it is just not up. It's just not up my street, is it? And of course, after going for so long with no control, I feel like South Africa's discipline probably went outside the window. They collapsed with discipline. Although I do feel like Sithole's red card was too harsh because I watch Premier League football. With Arsenal in the Champions League final, that was not given as a penalty to Arsenal. something similar. Although we're in the box with Noni, that was never a penalty. But he gets a penalty. He gets a foul, a red card for that because it was outside the box anyway, and the penalty was not given. So we all know the rules, don't we? I hope we all know the rules, because if you foul somebody and it's 1-1 outside the box, it's a penalty. It's a free kick and a red card. If it's in the box, you'll get a penalty, but mostly you don't get a free kick unless it's absolutely crazy, like violent play or something. So anyway, the discipline basically collapsed. So Zwane slapped somebody in the head, probably thought it was some Joburg CBD or something. It wasn't very obvious, but it went to review. It got sent off. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. And they ended up finishing the match with, with 9 men, because 2 were sent off, Sithole and Zwane. And yeah, it was crazy and very unfortunate, lack of discipline. But I think it was frustration in the end. And you all know, once you're down to 9 men anywhere, the game is finished, you are done. It takes a lot because you have literally let down your whole team and you're cooked. So play for 9 men. And then also Mexico end up getting a red card for their own incidents. For me, that was a straight red. Because he took the South African player out. So Montes basically got sent off for denying a goal scoring chance. I don't think that guy was gonna score at all. But anyway, goal scoring chance denied. So basically straight red. We ended up having 3 red cards in the opening match of the World Cup. Yeah. Make that make sense. The referee was a bit trigger happy. There were 3 red cards, 3 yellow cards, so it went crazy. But one thing we should not, I think, confuse this scoreline with is that it was a close match. It wasn't. As much as somehow South Africa survived, conceding 6 goals tonight, it is due to basically Mexico probably not being as efficient in goal scoring, and Ronwen Williams basically putting out a man of the match performance for South Africa, but it was not close at all. And and that was what it is anyway. So basically Mexico ended up pressing the South Africans into errors. They made South Africa make those errors. They stretched them out wide, and Mexico bossed the midfield, which, as I said, I think in my preview I did mention, it's about the characters in midfield. You do not have to have the best players in the world in every game. You just need to have a balance. People in the midfield who know how to control the game, who know how to control the tempo, and Mexico did that absolutely brilliantly in that match against South Africa. So the full time in the end was 2-0 to Mexico. South Africa down to 9 men, completely lost the plot. All the hate watchers had a great time, and they had an absolutely great time. But I still couldn't bring myself to enjoy it. I can't lie. I just didn't enjoy it. But yeah. But for me, I think seeing the way Ronwen Williams was so, he tried his best despite his teammates' inability in that in the field. He was in goal. He did his best. The 9 men basically tried to put up a fight, but they were literally fighting a losing battle. We saw Jimenez cry over his first World Cup goal. And you know what? I don't want to mock anybody, because you know what? It is a privilege to go to a World Cup despite some of the political nonsense that's going on. But I'll say this plainly, guys. This hate watch was very forced. And I'm not the only person or the only girl who failed the assignment. Let me know, am I the only person who failed this hate watch? Me and my mom. It just wasn't, I didn't feel it. I know South Africa lost, and they lost quite badly in terms of not the scoreline, but I think emotionally they were battered and bruised, and their ego is completely shattered. And they didn't help themselves anyway. But the fact is, I'm not laughing. It's not funny. I mean, call me soft, and I'm happy to wear it. But you know what? South Africa, Bafana, you guys, that was absolutely rough. Anyway, so South Korea next. So all you have to do my brothers, is pick yourselves up. And you know what? Some of us, we might not be 100% like wanting you to win because we don't expect a lot from South Africa. We know your team is not exactly one of the biggest. We've got Senegal, we've got Morocco, we've got everyone else there, But some of us, we're quietly rooting for you to actually bring out. Let's see the best of you on that pitch because I feel like you could bring us something, especially against the South Koreans, maybe even the Czech Republic. I don't know. But if you can do it, that would be great. We are in your corner. I am in your corner as an African sister because of the tournament. But otherwise, guys, you know what, South Africa, thanks for your performance. It wasn't great, but at least you turned up because my country, Zambia, didn't even get anywhere near this tournament. So I am actually proud of you, but you just need to do a lot better to get us on side. Guys, let me know. Am I the only non-hate watcher? I hate watchers. It's not gonna carry with me. I'll try it again against Morocco, but because they're my number one enemies in African football right now. But yeah, I'll try it. Otherwise, guys, let me know. Thanks for joining me. Let me know how you think it's gonna go. And don't forget to tell me who you think is going to win this World Cup. Talk soon, guys. Bye-bye.